Hello, everybody. Jill Schneider in my cozy treehouse in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And as you can see, I've got this rock wall with a fireplace, and it's just starting to get a little chilly. And I had a very interesting experience the day that I bought this condominium. And I had bought it. I felt good about it. I had flown up from Miami, from South Florida, and it just felt right. And after I had been up here a couple hours, I was getting hungry, so I went down to the little town, had something to eat, and was really filled with the anticipation of a new life. Buying a property is a big deal. And I was having this wonderful meal in this sweet little place. And after I finished, I walked around the corner and I found a thrift shop. And oh, I love thrift shops. And I walked in, and there was a gal who was sitting there, and she was actually standing next to her was her mother. And I found out that she was the general manager of this thrift shop. And I just said, "Hi, how are you? My name is Jill. I just bought a condo in Burnsville, and I'm so excited to be here." And I said, "How are you doing?" And she said, "Well, I'm not doing so great. I don't feel good. I've been depressed for a long time." And she said her father had died about a year and a half ago. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss." And then all of a sudden, my hand went to my cheek just like that. And she looked at me, and her eyes got bigger. And she said, "My father used to do that all the time." And I felt this communication, this man, her father. And it felt like he said to me, "Tell her I'm fine. She's got to get over it." So that's what I told her. I said, "Your dad is here. He's in the room. And he's telling me to tell you that he's fine and you've got to get over it." And her mother was smiling, and she was definitely in that moment. She knew her father was in the room. And then it passed, and I thanked them for letting me take a look around the store. And I had done that kind of before I even said hello to her. So I just walked out the door. And I said, "Whoa, that never happened to me before." And I had actually studied a little bit about mediumship over the years. I have a very dear friend who's a medical doctor, an intuitive, and a medium. And she's been telling me stories for years and years. And never did I suspect that I would get to that level to be able to actually channel someone from the other side. Well, that was just one story. Then I went back to Florida after that. And I had clients coming to me. I've been a massage therapist for 35 years. And there was one woman who was a very good friend of mine, and she was on my table. And I knew that she had a son that had passed by his own doing. And I said to her, "What's the name of your son who passed?" And she said, "Craig." And I said, "Okay, did he ever sit in the thinker position?" I saw a young man sitting in the thinker position in my mind's eye, not physically, but in another dimension. And she said, all the time. And that was a moment of truth where he got to tell her how sorry he was for what he did. So, so sorry. And toward the end of our session, I said, is there anything you want to say to Craig that I can pass along? And she said, just tell him that I love him. So it was a very healing moment. And since then, there have been many, many more occasions, even with a little doggie. A woman had come with her sister to see me for a few days, doing a juice cleanse and consultations and body work. And the sister, who was actually having cancer, was busy doing something at the time. And I noticed that her sister, her eyes were all watery, and that she told me she couldn't drive. She couldn't see very well. And I said, what happened to your eyes? And she said about a month or so ago, she witnessed her sweet doggie get run over. I said, what was his name? What was the doggie's name? And she said, Mikey. You know what I'm going to say. And Mikey comes through and says, please tell her that I'm okay and that it wasn't her fault. That was amazing. A month later, I called her. I said, how are you doing? And she said, I'm all better. Wow. I think it's very powerful to have a loved one give you some closure. And it happened with another gal over the phone. I asked her about her cancer. I said, when did your cancer happen? And I said, no, what happened 4 years ago before the cancer was diagnosed? And she said, I lost the love of my life suddenly. I said, what was his name? And she said, Joe. And all of a sudden, literally, I saw a man wearing a red shirt. And I said to her, did he ever wear a red shirt? She said he wouldn't take that red sweatshirt off of himself, even for me to wash it. I said, well. And then she told me his name is Joe, was Joe. And Joe said to me, tell her that I love her very much and I will be with her forever. This is part of healing. Those are just a few of the stories. I have quite a few more, and it's only been the last few months. This is very healing. And it's a gift. And for some reason, with all the work that I've done on myself all these years, I guess I'm like clean and clear. And of course, I pray and I protect myself. This is a prayer that was written by Catherine Ponder. I think she was with Unity Church many, many years ago, wrote many, many books. I surround myself with the white light of God, that nothing but good shall enter my aura. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity, and I shall do my part. So be it. So I'm not feeling any darkness, any fear when this happens. It's so gentle. It's so loving. Of course, you know I love the Long Island Medium, and I have watched those things for years and felt that they were correct. But I never expected it to happen to me. But I'm receiving and I'm enjoying that process. And it doesn't always happen the way we want it to happen. I have a friend in England, and her mother had recently passed. And she said, "Do you think you could channel her?" And I got no feeling at all. Nothing, nada, zilch. But I knew that her father had passed too, I assumed anyway. And all of a sudden, I saw this man with very colorful ties. And I said, "Did your dad wear colorful ties?" She said, "All the time." He was an architect, he was an artist, and he just was a very not flamboyant, but he would always put a touch of color in the dress uniform of a suit that he would wear to work. And he spent a lot of time in France, and he used to take her to France and expose her to the art, and she became an artist. So I can feel their presence, and it's very natural. It's just something. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm not making any money from it. Um, I just will offer that. If there's anybody out there that would like a free 20-minute session, I'd be happy to help. So consider that. And you also know that, or you may not know, I'm also a holistic life coach. And I also help people with their uh, cleansing programs. I'm a detoxification specialist. And I had cancer many, many years ago, and I was able to heal it completely naturally. So you might want to check me out, look at some of my other videos, or go to my website, www.jill, A-Y-N, Jill Ein Schneider, SCHNEIDER.com. Have a great evening or day. Enjoy your life. Be grateful. Bye. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.